Welcome back to Spring Into Math 6. This is Mr. Stein with you again, and today we're going to talk about the greatest common factor and least common multiple. Okay, so first let's focus on the greatest common factor. All right, so greatest common factor. Factors that are shared by two or more numbers are called common factors. So the greater of the common factors is called the greatest common factor, and you're going to hear a lot of times the GCF. So the greatest common factor is commonly referred to as the GCF. So let's try an example. What is the greatest common factor of 5 and 9? So the first step in finding the greatest common factor of any numbers is that you gotta look and know what the greatest common factor, know that the greatest common factor is the greatest whole number that is a factor in each of the numbers. So let's break that down a little more. So now we have a list of the factors for each number. So then we look for the largest number that appears in both lists. So we have the factors of 5, and 5 is an easy one. It's a prime number. We talked about that a couple lessons ago. So we just have 5 and 1. And so then we break down the factors of 9. We have 1 and 9, and then 3 and 3. So you only have to put 3 once because it's, you only need to represent that factor one time since 3 appears twice. So then you're looking. So the greatest common factor of 5 and 9 is 1 because that's the only number that they have in common. Okay, so let's try one more. So let's find the greatest common factor of 12 and 56. So let's break down the factors of 12. And I'm going to do this obviously for you and do it quick. But normally you're just going to have to go through and pull out all the factors of each number and find the one that's the greatest. So if you look at 12, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 are the factors of 12. And then 56, because it's a larger even number, you're most likely going to have quite a few more. So then we have 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 14, 28, and then of course the number 56. So now we're looking for the greatest common factor of 12 and 56. And so when I'm writing them down, I like to just circle them together. So if I'm looking, I can see that the greatest common factors is 4. So the greatest common factor of 12 and 56 is 4. All right, now, so we talked about the greatest common factor, the greatest number that's the factor that they have in common. Now let's look at the least common multiple. All right, so let's first review the word multiple. A multiple of any number is a number that can be divided exactly by the number. So let's look at an example. The number 33 can be divided by 3 without any remainder. So 33 is a multiple of 3 because 3 times 11 is 33. Now, another way to remember multiples, and I might have talked with many of you guys in the 5th grade Spring Into Math videos about multiples, is that multiples multiply. So factors factor into a number and multiples multiply out. So it's like we were talking about, 30 is a multiple of 3. So it's like 3, 6, 9, 12. So as it multiplies out, all those numbers are multiples of the first number. Okay, so now multiples that are shared by 2 or more numbers are called common multiples. So the least common multiple is called the common multiple, the least of the common multiples, that was kind of a tangled word mess there, is called the least common multiple, the LCM. So just like we talked about the GCF, this is called the LCM. And you're going to use both of these, especially when you get into fractions later. Okay, so let's try an example. So we're going to find the least common multiple of 4 and 8. All right, so the first step. We know that the least common multiple is the smallest whole number that is the multiple of each of the two numbers. All right, so step 2. We're going to list the multiples of each number. And then we're going to find the lowest number that appears in both lists. So if we have the multiples of 4, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and we don't have to keep going. This is not like factors where you want to pull all of the numbers out. You just got to go a little, maybe 3 or 4 or 5, and then see if the other one shares one of the multiples, and then you're done. If you don't, then you're going to have to keep going higher. But you don't want to put, 20 different multiples of 4 and 20 different multiples of 8 because you're looking for the least common, the smallest one anyways. So then let's look at the multiple of 8. We have 8, 16, 24, 32, and 40. So when we look at our lists, we actually have a few common multiples. We have 8 and we have 16. But since we're looking for the least common multiple of 4 and 8 is 8. All right, let's try one more. So let's find the least common multiple of 16 and 20. So again, one of the steps is we got to break down all the multiples up to maybe 4 or 5 numbers and then compare. So let's pull some multiples of 16. So we have 16, 32, 48, 64, 80, 96. And if you had to just keep adding 16 to write them down or multiplying them by 4 and then 5 and then 6, you could do so to keep going. And then the multiples of 20 are a little bit easier. So it's 20, 40, 60, 80. And then so right away, I can see that these two numbers share the number 80. So 80 is going to be the least common multiple of 16 and 20. All right, so that's going to do it for the greatest common factor and the least common multiple. I'll see you next time.